Alright, hi guys, this is the sixth video of my experience with Nest and how I went about creating a mobile application without learning how to code. And as you know, if you've been watching all the previous videos to this, I did that by disassembling the sample application that comes with Nest. It's called the JOB24 application, mobile application, and it's a job search application. And fittingly, this sixth video is about creating the job search form. And the job search form, what it does for the JOB24 application is, like, there's several different types of search options. There's the general search, the narrow search, and the nearby search. General search consisting of searching for all the options without any like customization and stuff like that, with your distance, what is it, distance, the area you specify and the distance you specify within that area. And narrow search consisting of finding all the results after counting in all the what's the word? Oh my gosh, I'm blinking. After counting in all the customization options that you had. And nearby search, obviously meaning counting in all the not counting in anything, it's just whatever is nearby. Okay, so we are creating that job search form right now, and as you can see, so we would log on to our account and then to the menu and then nearby jobs, and seeing if the beginning of that form at least appears. Okay, and this is the job search form and nearby search form. You can see on the next on the UI window on the top the two different tabs that are available. So we did a nearby search form, and now we're doing the narrowed search form. Yes, both of them seem to be working completely fine. And the general search form, everything seems to be good. Everything is showing all the windows to it. Everything is showing the windows. And all these forms are going to be virtually the same. It's just they're going to display different results, but the UI is going to be the same because it's just job listings. So I just have to specify to the form what kind of data to be taken, and then from that data what kind of what it should be listing, and how it should be listing it. And so it's just data information, data organization that's going to be different. And I'll probably be doing all of that in the workflow tab. And yeah, okay, so right now we have the header and the footer for the job search form, and there's a button for the menu, because like the last video was about the menu form, which is a layered form, and menu form is going to be used the most, so it makes sense that it's going to be in all these different types of forms. And so you can see the menu button, and since this is going to be a job search form, it is going to need something to scroll up and down to have a list. So I put in the scroll panel, and there's a list, and then I put in the list view component, and then panel and button, because the button is gonna the button will say find more jobs, just in case like you run out of all the, well, you run through all the results on that page, because we don't want to make it an endless list, because then it's gonna be very it's gonna be messy, because we're gonna have to set it so that when the user scrolls all the way down, that implements it to create more listings below the listings that have already been created. But rather, creating a button that says find more will make it a lot easier, a lot more organized for job data listings to be displayed. And I think, well, at least in my opinion, I think users appreciate it more when there's a um, when they're able to when they're able to what's the word? Users appreciate it more when they're able to differentiate between the jobs they've already passed by. So sometimes when I'm scrolling down one of those endless scroll things where it just constantly updates, I lose my place in line, because new listing comes in, is added to it, and I don't the title of the one that I've already seen could be similar to the one titles of the ones that I haven't seen. So this way, when I click find more, it's gonna display a whole new listing. Then I can just I know for sure that these are the listings that I haven't seen, instead of being able to, even instead of trying to figure out like what place in line I was, and the job, what place in the list I was, what place in the list I was, yeah, and and figuring out, and then going from there and being like, okay, these are the lists, this is the data list that I haven't seen, these are all the jobs that I haven't seen, or these are all the information that I haven't seen in case of other applications. Okay, so also creating that button makes it a lot easier, because if you create that endless list, it's gonna be messy, because you're gonna have to create set an event where when the user scrolls all the way up and you're trying to move past the page, basically the form or the application knows, hey, bring more information. Okay, so as you can see, this is the general search job listing form, and this form, since the general search, it's going to be the easiest, because it's just going to have to do with distance and location. So all the listing of the data is going to be based on this distance and location, unlike the narrowed search where it's going to be based on the information that the user puts in and says, hey, I want a job that fits this criteria in this location and in this distance. General search is just, don't worry about what fits the criteria, just give me the location and distance and find me all the jobs that are available there. So in order to display data or a long list of data, you're gonna need Ajax, because Ajax organizes all the data. And then as you can see, we're at the workflow window, and we're going to be using the workflow window. Primarily this form, most of the work is done on the workflow window, because it's just data organization. These forms, general search, narrowed search, nearby search for jobs, it's just going to be primarily data organization. And as you can see, I'm creating the events between iScroll panel, link data, and Ajax list, because the iScroll panel, link data, iScroll panel, and list item and all that stuff is going to be the ones that display the information, and the button, more button, is also created. I also set the event button next button, which goes to next. Okay, and see, if you use the workflow window like this, it's extreme. Everything just looks so much cleaner and so simple, and you can just go ahead and make events so simple, and you can just keep along with what these events are actually doing. um, I know sometimes the workflow window can get a little confusing because there's a what's the word? There's a lot of events going on, and one component might be doing a lot of those events, and then you just have arrows sticking out from all, all the one component. As you can see right here in the simulation, all those jobs listings are popping up because we set the event on the Ajax and all that stuff to show all those data just based on location and distance in the location. So like 50-mile radius or 25-mile radius or something like that. So we want to make it so that all this information is organized very neatly and fits within the panel, and it doesn't get jumbled up, and that's what it was doing. And you want to look through when you're simulating and make sure all the title texts are not being cut off and stuff, like no minor errors and stuff, because sometimes that does happen. Okay, let's see. So right now I'm setting the event so that the Ajax knows. I'm setting the event so that sorry guys, I have to move around a bit. So I set the event so that the Ajax knows when to So I'm setting the event so that the Ajax knows displaying the information onto the form. And as you can see, I'm going to press home in the simulator, and yeah, and then there's going to be all these searches, and you could do that on the simulator, and since the general search is done, you could do that. And now I should be working on other listings, and what I have to do is I gotta organize the data. I have to organize the data to find more listings with different data requests. Like for the narrowed search, there's gonna be fields of data, fields of jobs that I'm gonna be looking for, or at least the user's gonna be looking for. And they're gonna be looking for a certain pay wage, and they're going to be looking for certain hours, and yeah. So it's going to be very different in that effect, and the data is requesting for, and that's when it gets a little confusing. And so this is the narrow search form. As you can see, I just put in the title, and all we have to worry about is we can just keep it the same as every other, and as the general search form, except we gotta remove some of the data that's being shown, suppose. So as you can see, it has the same work window, and has the same work window and workflow window, and we're just organizing the events so that it looks more organized on the workflow window, and you can see the arrows more clearly. And then we're gonna set events so that the information is set more properly, and it's just going to look for the it's going to remove the information that we're not asking for, such as something that isn't of the criteria that user is asking for and stuff like that, because general search is just going to bring all the information in that location for that distance. And narrowed search, we needed to follow the criteria that's being asked for. So as you saw, we just simulated it. And the information that was asked for, although it was a lot different and a lot customized than the general search, it didn't really require a lot of events to be connected all together, because the data that the user is going to be asking for, all that data is bulked into user data, so it can just be put under all one component, and then put that under like remove, and then so that one component just event is placed in, and then it'll follow all that data. I don't know if you kept along with what I was saying, because it's pretty confusing to wrap your head around, but you'll understand it if you just like really kind of think about like how data works and how the form works and stuff like that. And once again, if you guys have any questions, just feel free to contact me, and I'll try to answer your guys' questions as well as possible. And this is the nearby search. Nearby search and general search are going to be different, obviously, because nearby search is just going to be take into consideration not the specific location, but your location, that geolocation of where you're at nearby. Instead of like, let's say you wanted to look at a house jobs in New York, but you're in California, you can do that in the general search, and then the nearby search is more going to be like, hey, I'm living in California, where's what are the jobs that are available nearby me? That's what nearby search is going to be used for. Anyways, it's going to have the same workflow, and the workflow events like basically the same as general search, except location might be different, and the distance asked for might be different. So it's in the gray area with general search and nearby. General search and nearby search they're kind of similar. It's like in the gray area. And those are the three different types of forms. Three different types of job search forms. And it was just very event heavy, as you've seen. And yeah, I'll see you guys in the next video. Hope this helped. Alright, bye.